Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Diego. It is April the 27th, 2026. 3 more days and it will be May. Lots of people are waiting for their K1 visas to get approved. They're waiting for their NOA2 letters. They're waiting for their 2-year green cards to get adjudicated, etc., etc. And I'm here to give you the answers to all your questions so you don't have to be calling USCIS. You don't have to be paying an immigration attorney to do this very simple process. I'm not an immigration attorney myself. I don't give you any legal advice. I did not take the bar exam and I don't work for USCIS. But I do have 13 years experience processing K1 visas and green cards. I've been doing this for a long time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I can do it in my sleep. I can save you from a denial. If you made a stupid mistake, if you made a dumb mistake on your 484 in your processing, I can help you. Okay, you just got to listen to me, but you got to remember, I'm not an immigration attorney, but I know how to fix stuff. I know how to process K1 visas. I know how to process 2-year green cards, 10-year green cards. Now, Karina, my beautiful wife from Venezuela, she and I are going to be mailing off our 10-year, not mine, I'm a U.S. citizen, but her 10-year green card application is going to go via UPS on May 8th of 2026. Today's April 27th, so that's what, 11 days. In 11 days, Karina's paperwork is going to be in an airplane flying to Elgin, Illinois on Form 751. Now, what are the checkpoints I'm going to follow before we send it off UPS? Number one, I'm going to make sure that her 751 is the current edition, okay? And I'm going to make sure it's the right, there's no mistakes, no typos, no errors in the paperwork, nothing. Perfect application. Las Barreras. Hi, Diego. It's good to add letters from friends to the package. Yeah. Well, you don't need to add the letter. You just got to put the envelope where it's addressed to the couple. Like, we have friends in Texas, we have friends, in Florida, obviously, and our friends in Texas write us all the time. So what I do is it says to Diego and Karina on the envelope with our address here in Florida. We just take the envelope and put it in her 10-year green card application. Okay, for the I-751, which is lifting the conditions off of a 2-year green card. But you do need letters of affidavit. Okay, it's good to add letters from friends, but there's two kinds of letters. Okay, there's letters that friends write to you as friends, and then you get the envelope and you open up the envelope and there's a letter. That's old school, right? If you don't want the government reading your emails, you write a letter, snail mail. But you're going to need to include at least 2 to 3 letters of affidavit in the 10-year green card application attesting to your relationship. Like Karina, we got 5 or 6, I think. We got 5 or 6 letters of affidavit. And they got written by her friends, our friends, and then they got notarized, and they're going in her 10-year green card application. But they got to be notarized. And what information has to be included on those letters of affidavit? Well, you got to include the person's full name, date of birth, place of birth. Okay? Full name, date of birth, place of birth on the letter of affidavit. PB. Now, what's going on, PB, up there in Minnesota? Married to that beautiful Filipina, right? Yeah, we're almost on the same schedule. My wife's 2-year green card expires in October. So when do we file for the 10-year green card? In July. But you got to look at the expiration date on her 2-year green card. Okay? Pete, look at the expiration date on her 2-year green card. What is her expiration date? Then you're going to minus 90 days from the expiration date. And in that 90-day window, that's when you're going to file for the 10-year green card. You got to file 100 times more evidence in the 10-year green card application than you did for the 2-year green card application. 100-fold. Electric bills, you join, like Karina, she's on the electric bill, she's on the water bill, she's on the trash bill, she's on this bill, that bill. She's on the title to the car. She's on the deed to the house. She's in it. All of her information is on this house and on her life here in the United States of America. She's in the process of being Americanized. Okay? Venezuela is like on the far distance on the horizon. She's becoming American. Okay? Francois Livingston. Good evening, Diego and Karina. Francois and Hamid, how are you guys doing up there in upstate New York? We got Francois. Now, Francois is a member of this channel. She joined. Where do you sign up? Right here. She joined as a member. And that means that Francois can call me, text me, email me, and Karina whenever she wants. If she has a question, Francois can email me. 7 days a week. We're open for members. Pete B. Gotcha. We have brought a house together, a car together, and she is on all the bills, and we file our taxes jointly. Well, those are the most important. The tax returns are probably the most important thing. Filing as a couple, filing as married couple, husband and wife. Okay. Now, here's the thing with tax returns. You gotta include them for the 10-year green card application, but when you file for the U.S. citizenship, if your wife decides she wants to become an American citizen, you can do that online. When you file for the 10-year green card, you don't want to use online services. You want to file it the old-fashioned way, like you did the 2-year green card, with stacks of evidence in binders. Okay? But when you file for U.S. citizenship for her, if she decides to, then you don't have, I don't recommend you include tax returns in the online application for U.S. citizenship filing form N400. Just bring the tax returns to the face-to-face appointment. Remember, a foreign national married to a U.S. citizen can apply for U.S. citizenship 3 years from the issue date of her 2-year probationary green card. And give Pete B a Gulf Breeze Zoo, I fed the giraffe salute. You're on the right track, Pete B. You got everything running smoothly. You're collecting bank statements. She's a joint account holder with your bank, right? Like Karina has a credit card. She goes to Walmart and buys stuff. I buy stuff. And then the bank statements come in. It shows all of Karina's transactions. It shows all my transactions on the bank statements. So we got 22 bank statements, I believe, in her 10-year green card application. Because in 8 plus 11 days, Karina's 10-year green card application is out of here. Pete B, look at that super chat, man. Thank you, Pete B, and we appreciate you, man. You know, you supported this channel when we were putting you through the ringer on the K1 visa, and we appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Now, I'll give you a 2% milk salute because my doctor told me I can't drink soda anymore. He said it's jacking up my blood sugar. So Mountain Dew salute to Pete B and his wife. But it's 2% milk. So I can't drink Mountain Dew. But we can still go to Hardee's and we have the big breakfast at Hardee's. You know, they're good. That's what we do with the super chats. We go to Hardee's and eat the breakfast. Karina loves those breakfasts. Now, I will help you, Pete B. I'm going to put, when you get closer to the 10-year green card application, I'm going to help you because this is a critical stage in the process. You cannot make a mistake. But the thing with this is when you file for the 10-year green card, okay, you don't have to include another medical exam. You don't have to include a copy of the K1 visa. You don't have to include, the I-94. But you must make a blow-up copy of the front and back of her green card and the biographic pages of your passports, okay? There's a lot of stuff that goes in a 10-year green card application. It's like 100 times more information than when you filed for the 2-year green card. Francois Livingston, Hamid is on a utility bill that I'm allowed to have them listed jointly. Okay, some companies won't do it. That's true. Don't worry about it. I'll have to take my name off and just put his name by himself. Now, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Just leave it like it is, Francois. Don't do that. He's good. I did all that you mentioned for our 2-year green card, like the house deed, car title, etc. Right. But you're going to do that. You're going to repeat that for his 10-year green card. Okay. Now remember, this current administration, okay, is making it harder and harder, or stricter and stricter, for folks to adjudicate for green cards, lift conditions, etc. Especially for Karina, she's from Venezuela. But we're not worried about it because, apparently they re-reviewed her green card application, and the last letter we got from immigration was, don't forget to file for your 10-year green card. So, there's some country, Hamid's from Morocco, right. And Morocco is only affected if you're going through the State Department. Yeah, it's on the list, but it doesn't pertain to Hamid because he is in the United States. It would only have applied to Hamid if you had married him. Let's suppose you got married to Hamid in the United Arab Emirates and you were filing a spousal visa. Then it would apply to Hamid. But he didn't do that. That would have been an immigrant visa application. He came into the United States on a non-immigrant visa. So he's good. Don't worry about Hamid. La Barreras, I need to put a copy of the bills for each month or just one copy? Well, here, let me explain to you. For Karina's 10-year green card application, I have kept copies of the gas bill, the water bill, the sewage bill, the trash bill, and the electric bill. Okay? Both our names are on there. So I have about 20 copies of each bill. So that's 5 separate bills times 20. So what's 5 times 20? That's how many bills we have in her 10-year green card application in document protectors. Now look, right here. These are the document protectors that we use. They open up right here at the end. So I'll print off a copy of the electric bill and I put it in here. And I got a section of electric bills. I'll print a copy of the gas bill and I'll put it in here. I got a section for gas bills and trash bills. So I got this broken up into sections, okay? But you don't want to staple anything. When you file for a K-1 visa or a 2-year green card or 10-year green card, it's important that you don't staple any of the paperwork together. It slows down the process. Okay, immigration want to be able to just pull it out of this document protector, scan it, and be done with it. And they destroy most of the stuff. They only scan the documents that they want to keep, like the certified marriage certificate, divorce decrees, or annulments, death certificates, things like that. Las Barreras, in California, it's one bill for water, gas, and trash. Well, I'm not surprised. California is a centralized government, okay? And I'm not surprised that I bet the water, gas, and trash is ran by the city, right? Do you live in Los Angeles? So if you live in California, if you live in Los Angeles, yeah, water, gas. How good am I? Right? I know this country this country like the back of my hand. Just Fresno, California. So the city runs everything. There's not private companies. There's no private corporations or private companies running trash pickup or water and gas. It's all ran by the frickin' state or the local government, right? Living in California is like living in communist China. Except in communist China, the economy is a little different. The economy in California is in the toilet. I mean, I like California. I've been there. I'm going to take Karina to California just for a vacation. But there's no way in heck on this planet I would live there. I couldn't do that. It's a beautiful part of the country. California is beautiful. All right. But you need a new government. You need new governors. You need new legislators. You need everything. Representatives, clean house, and put people in there that know what they're doing. Carlina Earl. Hello, what's going on, Carlina? How are you doing? And how's your family? How's everybody's family? Is everybody stressing out this immigration process, or Everybody just relaxing and listening, Diego. Las Barreras. Yes, taxes are crazy. Listen, in California, big companies are leaving. In-N-Out Burger, one of the major, $1 billion a year company, their headquarters left California and moved to Tennessee. They got sick of the communist ideology coming out of the California legislature. Chevron, a big oil refinery, they left. They moved to Texas. Elon Musk, he left California. He moved his X account, his X company, and he moved his Tesla company and SpaceX. He got the hell out of California. It's, I'm not a politician, okay? I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm independent. I'm an independent. I'm military. I'm 20 years military guy. Whoever was the president of the United States, that's who my boss is. Democrat, Republican, it was irrelevant. That person was my boss, okay? So I stayed independent and I stay neutral. But there are some people on the Republican Party who are crazy, and there are some people in the Democrat Party who are crazy. What we need to do is elect people that are not crazy. I'm doing good. We're good. Carlina, Earl, we are doing great. Actually, Karina's this close to filing for her 10-year green card. And then what happens is we filed for her 10-year green card, and about 2 to 3 weeks after we file, we'll get a biometrics appointment in New Orleans. And then in about a week after we file, 10 days, 2 weeks maybe, we'll get a letter of extension for her 2-year green card, which will extend her 2-year green card all the way out to June 2030. All right. So we're doing great. You said, I'm doing good so far. No stress yet. My petition on 421 was transferred to a National Visa Center in New Hampshire. My fiance is in Jamaica. Very good. Excellent. So you're getting close to a visa interview. Now it's at the National Visa Center. You're a good job. You're almost there. You're close to the finish line. Now remember, with Jamaica, the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica, the only problems that they're having is trying to get medical exams from the doctor. Your fiance has to have a medical exam by an authorized civil surgeon, authorized by the State Department, for the K-1 visa, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the visa appointment. But the doctor's freaking slow in getting the medical exams to the embassy. So that's what you got to pay attention to. Okay? Carlina, you got to listen to Diego. You got to stay on their backs, okay? But the medical doctor in Jamaica is slow, okay? It's like he's taking a freaking siesta every day. You got to get on it to get the medical exams to the embassy. Congratulations, praying for a speedy process. Well, we appreciate that, Carlina. Karina's wore out today. She worked like 12, 13 hours today. So she is just watching the show at the back of the house, just tired. She's just wore out. And she's going to be working again tomorrow. But I'm going to take her some more places, and we'll make some more videos. I took her to Alabama, Mississippi, etc. Carlina, yes, I'm aware it's horrible. Right. So you're paying attention. Right. That's good. So now that you know, then you need to tell your fiance that the doctor in Jamaica is slow as molasses in doing his job. So you got to keep on him. Okay, you can do it. I'll help you. If you want me to help you, I'll help you with it. Now, Karina's going to file with me. Now, the 10-year green card is a joint application with Karina and myself using Form 751. Okay, plus all the evidence. Now, what are we going to include in our 10-year green card application? Well, we've got 2 tax returns. Okay, 1040s plus 1 as a tax transcript. I got the tax transcript. I couldn't get my 2025 tax transcript, so we're just going to include the 1040 with a letter of explanation. Karina's W-2s, my 1099s, the certified marriage certificate, obviously, 2 years worth of bank statements and bills, She's the title to the car, the deed to the house, proof of health insurance, proof she has full medical coverage. Immigration want to see medical coverage. They want to see if you're filing for a 10-year green card, even a 2-year green card. The immigration want to see that your beneficiary has health insurance. Okay. Carlene Earl, I was told it's the courier. Okay, the courier is the problem. So maybe the doctor's doing his job properly, but the courier is slow. So maybe the courier needs to get a pay raise, something like that. I don't know. Maybe he needs to get an incentive to get in gear, because this is very important. Because you could be done with all the medical exam, go to your K-1 visa interview, and the embassy didn't receive the medical exam. Now, they're not going to deny you the K-1 visa. They're just going to put you on a 221G hold until they get the medical exam. When they get it, then they'll issue you the K-1. You know, it's unfortunate. But Karina and I mean, we know the deal. I accompanied Karina to her medical exam in Bogota, Colombia, and I sat in the waiting room at the back, kicked back. She had her medical exam. And then the doctor came out and said, she needs one more vaccination booster shot. Do I want to get it done here, or do I want to have her get it done in the United States? And I said, Karina, just get it done right here. So she got her booster shot in Bogota, and all her vaccinations were completed and certified in Bogota. And then when we got to the United States in 2024, January 3rd, 2024, we landed in Miami. The first thing I did after she got the next day was I scheduled her for a repeat medical exam. She got a brand new 693 done. Her vaccinations were recertified. We got her Social Security card. Now, the first Social Security card she got was with her maiden name on it, and it said, cannot work without permission from Homeland Security, authorization from Homeland Security. But that's normal. But you got to get the number. So she got the number, opened up a joint bank account with me, and then when she got her green card, after about 3 months, she got her green card. Then we went back to the Social Security office and got her a new Social Security card with her married name on it, and it took away all that verbiage. No allowed to work without permission from Homeland Security. All blah, blah, blah. All that went away when she got her green card. Francois Livingston, for our 2-year green card, I got a letter from HR to show Hamid has medical and dental coverage and when it started. There you go. Perfect. That's good. I'll get an updated letter when we send our 10-year green card application. That's exactly right. Good job, Francois. Because the big things that immigration look for on a 2-year green card application and a 10-year green card application is health insurance, and that you guys are still together, obviously. You got to prove that you're living together and that you're commingling funds and you are jointly responsible for the bills in the house. Carlina, yes, I know people who went to the interview going on 4 weeks and no update regarding their medical. There you go. See, I know I pretty much got a good handle on what's going on at all the embassies around the world. I know what's going on at the U.S. Embassy in Bogota. I know what's going on at the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica. I know what's going on at the U.S. Embassy in Germany, in Frankfurt, Germany, in Manila, Philippines, and there's 2 embassies in Japan. I'm watching what they're doing. And that way, when people ask me questions, if their fiance is from, let's say, Japan, I can guide them in the system and help them get the interview schedule. I helped this guy, his wife was living in Germany. I think she was Filipino living in Germany. I can't remember, but I helped him schedule the medical exam and the visa interview at the consulate. Let me see. Francois, Diego, there's a woman in Hamid's English class who said she's been in the USA and working already. Is that possible? Well, she can work if she has a work visa, a work permit, an EAD, right? If she has an EAD, right? Employment authorization document and a social security number. She's been in for 4 months. Okay. Well, if she has a work permit and a social security number, she can work. But if she's working without an EAD, then she's going to be in immigration trouble. because you're not allowed to work without permission. That's why when you get your first Social Security card, it says, cannot work without authorization from Homeland Security. It says it on the Social Security card. Here's your Social Security card. Go open up a joint bank account, but you cannot use it to work. You cannot use it to work. The only time you can work is when Homeland Security says you can work, which is when you get your work permit and or your green card. And if she's been here only 4 months, maybe she got her work permit really quick. I don't know. I don't know the status of her case, but if she has a Social Security number and she has a work permit or a green card, then she can work. No problem. Karina's been working. She loves her job where she's working at. Karina's been paying into the system, paying her FICA tax. We filed a joint tax return together. The IRS, basically the Treasury Department, put their hands into our bank account and took out that payment that we owed to the IRS. They took it out just like that. Showed up on the bank statement, IRS payment. Copy of that goes in her 10-year green card application, plus a copy of the check. Now, if you are going to Walmart or Publix, or you're writing checks to different, let's suppose you pay your internet bill with a check, or most people pay everything online. All right. But we pay the gas bill and the water bill and the sewage bill with a check. So our bank set up our checks with both of our names and address and phone number on the top left-hand corner of the check. So we got a check on the top left-hand corner of the check. It's got Diego Ross, Karina Ross, our address, and our phone number. And then we pay our water bill, our gas bill, and our not our trash bill, water bill, gas, and sewage. We pay it by check. And then the bank shows me the check after the company cashes the check. It shows up in our bank statement. I can look at it on the phone. Then I print a copy of it. Francois. Oh no, Carlina. Do you need a good thing to split for work permit with adjustment of status? My advice is just apply for the green card. Don't worry about the work permit. The work permit's $260 something. And then the green card's $1,440. And then if you're, so that's just adding to your bill, your immigration bill. When you get to the United States, just apply for the green card. Don't even worry about the work permit. They arrive around the same time anyway. I wouldn't split the work permit. I would just apply for the green card. Save that $260 or whatever it is. Use it for something other than buying a work permit. Seriously. Francois, I don't know the status of her case, but my husband is comparing our case to that lady. You can't do that. I reminded him every case is different. Everybody's different. And I don't know what type of visa she came on in. She could have come in on an H-1B1. She could have come in on a student visa where she can work part-time. She could have come in on I doubt she came in on a K-1 and she's working within 4 months. She probably came in on an H-1B1. So she got everything pretty quick. But just because, but you don't know if she has a green card or a work permit. Most likely she got a work permit. Carlina. Okay, sorry, I'm walking. No, you're good. Walking's good exercise, actually. Once you have a big dinner, you eat a big dinner or a big lunch, go and walk for about 10 minutes. And that's good for the processing of the food in your stomach. It's good. Walking's good for you. Jogging, not so much. Jogging tears up your knees. I see people jogging around the neighborhood, and I'm like, seriously. They're tearing up their knees. And what are they accomplishing? Walking is much better for you than jogging. And it's not as, impactful on your joints, especially your knees. Because by the time you get to my age, if you've been freaking jogging your whole life, you're going to be walking with a walker. Seriously. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I was in the military for 20 years, and my life basically revolved around jogging every morning, jogging every night, and doing my day job. And then when I retired from the Navy, I said, okay, I'm done with this jogging stuff. And probably I saved my knees from future, problems by terminating that part of my physical exercise routine. Anyway, it is what it is. Now, K-1 visas are getting processed. Green cards are getting processed. 10-year green cards are getting processed. There's those 75 countries that have been placed on a ban list by the Trump administration. They pertain basically only to like family members going through State Department adjudication. So the 75 countries that were banned are like, if you want to bring mom to America, if you want to bring grandma to America, your brother, your sister, and your wife through a spousal visa. But there are lots of immigration attorneys are knocking out these people. They're filing lawsuits left, right, and center. Carlina, I love it. There you go. Francois, look at that super chat from Francois. Look at that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the continued support. Hardy's here. You too come. Oh, yeah, we do. We go to Hardy's on the super chats. In fact, I'll make a video at our next Hardy's visit. So, include it in one of the other videos that I make, and then just put it at the tail end so y'all can see we're having our super chat breakfast. We'll give everybody some salutes. Sandis Patil, 1679. Hi, Diego. I'm applying for I-751 to remove green card conditions in May. I heard it takes 18 to 36 months to approve the green card. Yes, true. It is. Is it safe to travel on an expired green card with 48-month extension letter? Yes, you can. You can travel on a 48-month extension letter, but make sure you carry with you a certified copy of your marriage certificate, proof of your residency in the United States, tax returns, your water bill, electric bill, whatever you can think of. If you decide you want to leave the United States for a vacation, make sure you carry with you paperwork that shows you are still happily married to your American citizen sponsor. But I don't recommend you freaking leave the United States until you become a citizen. Another super chat from Francois. Belated birthday breakfast. All right. Yeah, Corinne just had her birthday in March, and we appreciate that. We use the super chats for the Hardy's breakfast. And if you're on a 2-year green card and then you get an extension letter for a 10-year green card, that's fine. You can travel, but I don't recommend you do. I don't recommend you do it. What if something happens and you're overseas? You get hurt, something happens, you end up in the hospital. I mean, I don't know, that could be the worst case scenario. But when you apply for U.S. citizenship, when the immigration officer asks you the question, have you resided continuously in the United States? You're going to say, yes, I've never left the United States. And then if they ask you the question, have you gone on vacation outside of the United States? You can say, no, I've been too busy exploring inside the United States. I know it's easy for me to say, you got family overseas, you miss family, you want to go see grandma, you miss your friends, like if you got friends in the Philippines, you want to go see your mom and your dad and your sisters and your friends. I understand that. And I'm not saying you can't do that. You can go on vacation. Let's say you want to take but I would make the vacation 2 weeks at the most. If you want to go to the Philippines for vacation, go for 2 weeks at the most. That's it. So you don't get a hard time with the Border Patrol when you apply for citizenship, when you apply for your 10-year green card, etc. Francois, for some reason unknown to me, I can't send one amount super chat, but they have to be split up. I don't know why that is. That's crazy. I mean, it's YouTube, I guess. YouTube controls that. So, but we appreciate it even if it's split up. Okay. Now, talking about splitting things up, if you are going to send money to your family overseas, let's supposing you want to send $10,000 to your mom in Ecuador. You came to the United States from Ecuador. Your mom needs 10 grand for emergency medical care, and you are trying to avoid the bank from reporting the transaction to the feds. Okay, so you split up the payment, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, and then 1,000, to avoid the banks reporting the transactions, because anything over $10,000 gets reported to the feds. Don't do that. If you need to send $10,000 to your grandmother or your mother in the Philippines or wherever in the freaking world, send the money, the $10,000 in one lump sum. Don't worry about the banks filing a report with the federal government reporting the transaction. Don't worry about it. It's not your problem. And you're not in breaking any law by sending your grandma 10 grand to take care of a medical issue, or your mom or your dad. You can do that, but don't split the payment up, because if you split the payment up like 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 1,000, it's going to be called structuring. And if you structure payments like that, you will be freaking investigated and you will put your green card in jeopardy. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the bank's responsibility and the bank's problem to report the financial transaction, not yours. You have a freaking right. Let's suppose you want to send $100,000 to your mom and dad as a gift to buy a house, and they live in Panama, or they live in Ecuador or Chile or Peru or wherever they live. Send them the $100,000, but do it through a bank-to-bank transaction, and don't worry about the financial implications where the feds get notified. But you don't want to split the payments up. If you do, you're going to be investigated and you're going to put your green card in jeopardy. Okay? Listen to Diego. I have never mentioned this before on this channel because it's not got nothing to do with K1 visas and green cards. But in a way it does. You know, there's some folks out there, they want to send a big chunk of change to their family, and they think, well, maybe I should just split the payments up so it doesn't get reported to the federal government. Don't do that. Don't worry about it. If you send $20,000 to grandma in Manila, Philippines, that's fine. It's the bank's responsibility to file the financial documents with the federal government. It's not your problem. Okay? And it's not going to cause you any problems because it's nothing illegal about it. You can do that. But don't structure it. That's when you're getting into difficulties. That's when you're going to have problems. Carlina Earl, what was the form that the embassy put applications pending medical again? 221G. There's 221G. 221G is the form. Okay, Karina got a 221G. She went to her scary K1 visa interview at the U.S. Embassy in Bogota, Colombia. She passed the interview. She got asked 13 questions. They interrogated the living daylights out of her because she's from Venezuela living in Colombia. So they want to know, why are you living in Colombia if you're Venezuelan? And she said, well, I like to be able to put, food on the table and go to the doctors and get medicine and have electricity and have internet, things that Venezuela didn't have, but Colombia did have. And then they said to her, well, are you a legal resident of Colombia? Yep, here's my Colombian residency card. I'm a legal resident. I didn't sneak in here illegally. I am a legal permanent resident of Colombia. Here's my Colombian cedula. Here's my Venezuelan cedula. Any other questions? They said, no. Very good. But at the end of the interview, after the 13-question interrogation, they said, well, you passed your K1 visa interview, but we need an Interpol police certificate because you lived in Colombia for 6 years and your home country is Venezuela. And then she said, what the heck is an Interpol police certificate? There's no record of that anywhere. I've never heard of it before. I've been doing green cards and K1 visas for 13 years. I'd never heard of a K1 of an Interpol police certificate. So anyway, they said, well, here's a 221G. When you get the Interpol police certificate, plus a letter from the President of Colombia, the Office of the President of Colombia, giving you a character reference, it will issue you the K1 visa. So she came back to the apartment. I was in bed sick with altitude sickness. I was dying from the freaking 10,000 feet above sea level. Plus, I had the flu. And she said to me, I got this form and I got this form. Well, the first form was the 221G, telling her she needed an Interpol police certificate and a letter from the Colombian president, Office of the President of Colombia, character reference. And this one is your K1 visa has been approved. I said, okay, you're good. You got your K1 visa. We just got to get these two documents. And Karina said, I'm on it. She went from the U.S. Embassy in Bogota straight to Interpol in Bogota and said, I need an Interpol police certificate. Here's my Colombian cedula. Here's my Venezuelan cedula. So basically what it is a background check, okay, like a biometrics. So Karina had to get a background check because she lived in Colombia for 6 years. But if she'd been in Venezuela the whole time, she wouldn't have to do that. So that's lucky for me. I didn't buy plane tickets. I knew she was going to get her K1 visa. I mean, I did the paperwork. I knew it was a perfect application, but I never knew about this Interpol police certificate. That was totally new. And a character reference letter from the president of Colombia, totally out in left field. But Karina got the letter from the president of Colombia in about, 5 days, 6 days. She got the letter in an email. And then she got the Interpol police certificate 4 weeks later. I'm in Colombia, and my tourist visa is getting close to expiring. I'm like, Karina, we got to get this Interpol police certificate. My tourist visa is going to expire here real soon. I'm going to have to go back to frickin' Florida and then come back and renew my visa. So we went together to the Interpol police department. The Interpol, the colonel was there. She got on the phone. Karina spoke to the colonel in charge of Interpol for Colombia, the head honcho, and said, hey, look, I need my passport is being held up at the U.S. Embassy because I need this Interpol police certificate. Can you get it to me by tonight? 4 weeks had already gone by. And the colonel said, yeah, Karina, no problem. I'll take care of you. 7 p.m. that night, we got the email. Her Interpol police clearance was good. Well, we knew it was going to be good. We weren't worried about it, but we just had to have it. Karina then sent it to my email. And then on my cell phone, I sent it to the U.S. Embassy in Bogota. And then the next day, her K1 visa was ready for pickup. Very important, the lesson that we learned here. Number one, don't buy plane tickets till you actually have the K1 visa in your passport. Okay? I was in Colombia with Karina, and when I opened up her passport and I looked at the K1 visa, I checked it for my spelling mistakes. Everything was good. The next thing we did was we jumped on the bus with her freaking K1 visa package, like this thick, all taped up by immigration. And we went down to El Dorado Airport in Bogota, and we bought the one-way plane tickets to Miami. Very good, right? Well, it just made me have me stay in Colombia another month for 5 weeks longer than I anticipated. So my tourist visa was getting real close to being expired. So we got by the skin of our teeth. We got her K1 visa in before my tourist visa expired. We then went to the airport to catch our flight to the United States. And then we got a hard time from the lady behind the counter. She didn't know what a K1 visa was. She said, what is this? And Karina was telling her in Spanish, it's my one-way visa into the United States. And she said, I don't know what it is. I said, get your frickin' supervisor. Because they wouldn't let us go through the boarding gate into the plane. What do you call it? Into the plane. I said, get your supervisor. So she went to her supervisor, and the supervisor basically slapped her around the head and said, let these people on the frickin' plane. So we got on the plane, we sat down, we relaxed, and we flew to Miami. And Karina's looking out the window. She saw Miami, the big skyscrapers and Miami Beach. And she's like, wow, check this out. We landed in Miami. But the thing is this, when we were going through immigration checkpoint in Bogota, Colombia, the immigration officer, the Colombian immigration person, tried to open Karina's K1 visa package to look inside it. I said, don't even touch that, dude. That's U.S. government property. Don't open it. Don't touch it. If you open up that package, her K1 visa is null and void. I'm going to have to go back to the embassy and get it resealed. I said, if you touch that freaking packet, dude, I want to make sure you lose your job. So he took his hands off of it. I speak pretty good Spanish, by the way. He took his hands off of it. So be careful, guys. When you're going through the immigration checkpoint to leave the country of origin, make sure you carry the K1 visa packet on your carry-on. Don't check it into your suitcase. Do not check your K1 visa package in your suitcase. Bring it as carry-on. You know, what if your suitcase, you're flying from I don't know, you're flying from Frankfurt, Germany to New York City, and then your suitcase ends up in Cartagena, Spain, with your K1 visa package inside it. That's not good, right? Because you're not going to be able to come into the United States without the freaking K1 visa packet. And it's sitting in a suitcase somewhere in another place. Always, always carry your K1 visa packet that gets sealed by immigration with your carry-on. I don't care if you have to throw all your jeans, your panties, your underwear, your souvenirs. If you got no space in your carry-on for that, leave it in wherever you're at. But make sure you carry your package. So we got to the United States. Everything was good. We drove here. Everything was good. Karina rested up. I went on the computer a couple of days later, printed up her I-94s, made 5 or 6 copies. Then we went to the Social Security office, got her Social Security card in process. Then we got her medical exam scheduled, repeat medical exam in Pensacola. We got a brand new 693, got our vaccinations recertified, and we put together her 2-year green card package. She got on the joint bank account, and she's on the bills, electric bill, trash bill, all that jazz. And then she got her 2-year green card in about 3 months. They mailed it to our house. We didn't even have to have an interview. But those times are changing because of the Trump administration is tightening up the process, making it stricter, which, okay. So now we're at the 10-year green card level, and we're going to get ready to file for her 10-year green card in 11 days. And then right after we file for her 10-year green card, we're getting on a plane and we're flying to Nevada. So while they're processing her 10-year green card paperwork, getting the letter of extension ready, the 4-year letter of extension, processing her biometrics, we're kicking back on vacation. We're going to go to Nevada, Las Vegas, and then we're going to go to all these other different places, not just in Nevada. And I'm going to make videos for you guys so you can see what we've been doing. We include you. We don't leave you out. We're going to include you in the vacations that we have. I think some folks find it interesting to see where Karina started out in Caracas, Venezuela as a tax accountant and director of accounting with a big major corporation. The company was destroyed by the communist government of Venezuela. So Karina moved to Colombia. She built herself a fantastic life in Colombia after losing everything in Venezuela. And she met me, and we dated each other for 3 years. And then I brought her to the United States. We got married. And, it's amazing how things happen the way they do. Everything happens for a reason. Now, I'm here to help you get your green cards approved and your K1 visas approved. I'm going to pull you over the finish line. I'm not going to give up and quit and throw in the towel. When things get difficult, that's when I get into action to help you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. No matter how hard it gets, okay? Don't throw in the towel, because you're going to be reunited with your loved one eventually. It's going to happen as long as you qualify for the benefit. I don't care what executive orders President Trump signs. I don't care what he does in regards trying to block people from reunification. Okay? I don't care. He can do that all day long. But what's going to happen is Congress is going to override it. Immigration attorneys are going to override some of the things he's doing. It's one thing to go after illegal immigrants, which I fully support, but don't go after green card holders unless there's any fraud involved. you know, and don't block freaking 75 countries from due process. That's insane. Brazil's on the list, Morocco, Cameroon, Colombia. You know, why in the heck is Colombia on that list? Colombia is not a third world country. It's a high-tech country. It's got a crazy president. All right, he's a commie. But the Colombian people realized their mistake in electing him president, and now they're going to have an election here this year, and he's going to be gone. All right. So, but I'm here to help you get through this process. I'm not going to give up on you. And if it gets hard, if it gets difficult, don't quit. Don't throw in the towel. The only time you want to withdraw an application on a K-1 is if you find out the person's trying to rip you off. You know, like our friend Copperhead, his Filipino wife is demanding $5,000. It's not his Filipino wife, his Filipino fiance is demanding $5,000 from him to give to her brother as earnest money for a visa to work in Australia. Well, for a Filipino to work in Australia on a work visa, it's $600, and they got to have $5,000 in the bank showing, you know, that they're going to come back to the Philippines, not stay in Australia. But a K-1 visa, a fiance on a K-1 visa shouldn't be asking an American citizen sponsor for money like in that kind of amount to help another family member for a freaking work permit. And then what happened was, when he said no, which was the right answer, she's ghosting him. So he did all this work on his K-1 visa. He got it to the National Visa Center, got it approved, and now she's taking all the pictures down off of Instagram, ghosted him because he wouldn't give her $5,000. Well, my advice to him was withdraw the K-1 visa and tell that lady to pack sand. There's millions and millions of beautiful ladies in the world that would just love to marry an American who are not looking for the green card. They're looking for love, looking for a real relationship. It's not all about the green card. Is just a freaking process so you can live together happily married. You know, but there's a lot of people out there who are frauds too. You just got to weed them out. So immigration does a good job. It's doing the best it can to weed out the people who are frauds, trying to rip off Americans, or Americans trying to rip off foreign nationals. You know, it's both sides. It works both ways. So that's why the process is so strict. So, you know, it is what it is, right? If you're in a real relationship, if you can back it up with evidence, if you love each other, you're good. You'll get the K-1 visa. I don't care if you're on a blocked country list, you're going to get through this. Okay? Immigration attorneys right now are going to battle for you in class action lawsuits. The Congress of the United States is going to change in November. There's going to be a new Congress. And even Republicans are getting to the point where they're saying, this is crazy, where we're going after green card holders and blocking family reunification. You know, and then, you know, there was an illegal immigrant who'd been living in the United States 50 years. Never heard a soul. The guy had been in America 50 years. He came here when he was 20. He was 70 years old. And they deported him to Mexico. 70-something years old, after he had created a landscaping company in the United States, in California, and employed like 20 or 30 people, whatever it was. You know what President Reagan would have done with that guy? President Reagan would have given him legal status, gave him a green card, thanked him for his capitalist job-creating company. And then the blame should have fallen on not the failure to secure the borders. The federal government didn't secure the borders. He was able to sneak in. He lived here for 50 years and did good. Give him a freaking green card. You know, he didn't have a criminal record. He created jobs. Now, if they ran a biometrics on him and he had a criminal record, then deport him. But he didn't. He didn't have a criminal record. He did nothing wrong. The only thing wrong he did was sneak into our country illegally, which he shouldn't have done, but he did. But he stayed here 50 years, 70-something years old, with the landscaping company. And then ICE threw him on a plane and sent him to Mexico. What's he going to do there? He's 70-something years old. He has no investments in Mexico. He's got no money, no pension, nothing. You know, I don't know. It's one thing to be strict on immigration, but there should be circumstances where you should look at the total picture. All right? Look at the total picture. If you're in this country illegally, and you've been here for 6 months, a year, and you're freaking breaking the law and driving recklessly and doing bad things and all this other jazz, then get your ass deported. But a 70-something-year-old man who'd been here 50 years, who created something good in this country, should have been given a break. Okay, you snuck in illegally. I'm going to fine you $5,000. Here's your green card. Don't do it again. That's what I would have. That's what President Reagan would have done. That's what President Clinton would have done. This being overly strict is going beyond it's going beyond what's really the American way, right? Americans are hardcore. We're tough. We're strong. We build things. We make things. We create things. We don't like to lose. We want to win all the time. But we're also humanitarians. So you look at the big picture of this guy and see what he did. Understood he broke the law sneaking in our country 50-something years ago. But that was the fault of the federal government for not having a secure border, not him so much. Yeah, it's unfair. So anyway, that's my rant. That's my rant. We hope you're doing well, Corinne and I. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. Pete B, Francois Livingston, thank you for the super chats. If you want to join as a member, you can join as a member down there somewhere. Then you can call me and email me. I'll go over all your paperwork for you as a member. And the only reason I ask for a membership fee is $9.99. Isn't because I want your money. It's because it's the only way I can keep track of who's got the phone number and the email address tied to this YouTube channel. That's it. So I know if you join as a member, I know who you are, right? I know you got my phone number and I know you have my email address. So I know you're not going to start screwing around with the channel and try to hack it or whatever. We will, Corinne and I, Corinne is busy. She was really tired today, or else she would have been sitting with me. But we'll be back on, what's today? Monday, Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday. Now remember, in May, middle of May, somewhere in there, we'll be on vacation. So we won't be doing live streams. Okay? Just for about 5 days or so. So if you don't see us on the live streams, because we're not here. We're in Nevada. Okay? See you at the next live stream Wednesday. Happy Monday.